Karen sold the lot to Lord and Taylor, Ben Bills, and Mason.
There's the planet right there.
But of course we didn't charge anywhere near enough. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, but it gave us the impetus to get the hell out. And we rented a place at first. No, we didn't rent. We were given a place by a friend who was a cartoonist in Pembroke, Maine. And we were told this is a beautiful place to go, it's out the sticks. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. And then when we wanted to stay, we both really liked it. And I started meeting people locally. Especially this fisherman who was, he came to my house. He was a friend of the plumber, I think, or the fitting guy, I don't remember, who I really liked. And Karen, he came with his wife, but he saw some of the jewelry in the studio, in the living room. And they really got interested, and we just got to be friends. And then he asked me, "Do you want to go climbing?" Let's go climbing. So I said, "Okay, sure." That's how I started. And it was great. And then that year, we bought a house in a wilderness preserve for $2,000, 2.5 acres. That's what you could do then.
Yeah.
With the 10-year mortgage.
Yeah.
Paying $30.
They want to be stressed out.
Yep. It was ridiculous. That's how it happened. And then it didn't really get that interesting to me, frankly, for a while. It was just a living, but it was kind of fun. And I don't know at what point the interest became more intense. I always was kind of a slightly science nut. And I lived with Mr. Fuller, who actually is a friend of my brother.
He's the source for the Wright Research Triangle Park. Most people don't know that.
Buckminster Fuller?
Buckminster Fuller was personal friends with Terry Sanford.
Oh. So that's a whole other story. I would have met him in my failed activist day, but I had left, so I never got to know him. And I was the one, I read him from the time I was 15 years old. I discovered that before anybody even knew who he was, and I just loved it, the concept of structure, the way it was done, of the horrible.
So that helps understand your fascinations with all of the curves.
So I suppose some of the influence probably came from there. It's always very difficult to tell at night why things happen. I never quite understand it. I still don't. Just keep on trucking. But as soon as the interest came, everything changed. And then it started becoming, for me at least, a study in movement. And that was completely changed. And thank goodness it translates into everything. The jewelry was perfect. It was small enough to advance the technique and also start to make it. How are we doing? Whoops.
Where did you move to Maine from?
From New York, from Manhattan. I was raised, mostly in the U.S. I went to boarding schools, and every summer I would go back to Belgium. My parents were Belgian, so my real education was my grandmother, who would take me to museums when I was a kid, and send me to these little children art things. Now, when I'm bending it, you notice it opens up, and then you can just pull them into whatever shape you want. So you get these really beautiful patterns. So this is what they did in the ear. You can also switch direction. So if you want to ruffle them, you can do this.
Is that how you get this little color here?
Yes. That's exactly the way I did that.
You did?
Ta-da. Or you can do whatever you want. And depending on how tight, you can treat it just like everything else. You can bend them laterally as well as along the sides. You can make them small, you can make them big. You can make them asymmetrical. And when I said this is the kind of pursuit I would do, not necessarily with this, but also just very simply anti-clasting a piece. Just take a very simple, and just anti-clast it very slightly. And you'll get used to understanding the relationship of the patterns, which are important. The pattern itself, if it doesn't work phonetically, which means that the curves aren't resonant, that they're not correct, you won't get a particularly elegant piece. But you have to learn that. It's like listening to music. After a while, you do this enough, you get extremely sensitive. No one said there's this harmony in music that annoys you, because most people, even if you're not a musician, that will occur. Spatially, this happens as well. But we're not taught to sensitize ourselves. Rarely. Most people who have that are born with it, like a musician born with the capacity to play music. And anybody can learn music, and the more you learn, the more sensitive you come to the way the harmonies and discordances are arranged. You're tuned, you're physically repelled and drawn to however that happens, and musicians always play with that when they compose or whatever. But spatially, people then understand it's exactly the same thing. They're all related, they're all movements, they're all inherently go through the same kind of distortions as they dissipate, because we're living in a world that's basically a dissipated world. It's a non-definitive world, and this has, as we talked before, particular patterns that reoccur. Anyway, let's go to this. I'm going off the deep end.
All right.
Here we go. Now let me quickly, I'm just going to make the spiculum. So here, I'll try to make it more or less round. If you did this exercise, we had the time, you would try to make this round. So you're going to have the pattern. This is a good exercise. Just try to make a round here. You won't get it around, but you should try it around. And as you make your mistakes, you'll discover how to do it.
This is going to have the attached wire.
Yes.
I mean, for the people that live in the area, if you wanted to get together at the art center, we can maybe get a work day on a Saturday or something on a Sunday. Chrissy. And so you have to work in your schedule. And then if you wanted to work on some things together, we could do that.
That would be good.
Yeah. Would that be okay? So who's buying what? I can do a group order of spinner gauge if you like.
Do we have a roller here?
Yeah, we've got a rolling mill rolling through the mill.
Well, we could just roll out some.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we can roll it out too, but it's a lot easier just to
Buy it, try it.
And it's nice and clean.
I forgot to.
What?
This should be,
Oh, sorry, go ahead. So you're saying something else?
Yeah. He's saying that should be filed rounder.
yes, this was, usually when we make these stakes.
Is there a rounder one out there?
I don't know why this is straight. I think they didn't take the whole thing off. But you can do, there's a little rasp.
You want to
Yeah,
file?
so let me demonstrate this. In the black,
The file
I'll show you.
was by my advice.
Here's a little file right here. Billy had some out.
You have little round rasps. Let me see these.
No, they're behind you. They
No, let
were
me use the
earlier
rasp.
today. They were.
Look at that.
Hang
I'll
on.
gum them up with plastic. I don't have a tiny one, but I have one that's
These
small
two.
enough.
These two.